Some quadratic equations, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, cannot be solved by factoring alone. One way to solve such quadratic equations is by completing the square and then factoring. Another is to use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula gives the values of x in terms of a, b, and c. Take note, key concept, the quadratic formula. To solve the quadratic equation ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, use the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula states x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Problem 1. Using the quadratic formula. What are the solutions? Use the quadratic formula. Part A. 2x squared minus x equals 4. We'll start by rewriting the equation and then rearranging or rewriting the equation in standard form. This brings us to 2x squared minus x minus 4 equals 0. Now we can identify a, b, and c. A being the coefficient of the quadratic term, 2, b the coefficient of the linear term, negative 1, and c the constant, negative 4. Now we'll write the quadratic formula. Recall that's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And we'll substitute our values of a, b, and c. So this is the negative of negative 1 plus or minus the square root of negative 1 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 4 all over 2 times 2. And we work to simplify. This is 1 plus or minus the square root of 33 over 4, leading us to two solutions, 1 plus the square root of 33 over 4, and 1 minus the square root of 33 over 4. To check our solution, we should use a calculator. We can use a graphing calculator to graph the function y equals 2x squared minus x minus 4 and calculate the x-intercepts. Those are at about negative 1.186, which is approximately equal to 1 minus the square root of 33 over 4. And our second x-intercept, 1.686, is approximately equal to 1 plus the square root of 33 over 4, as expected. And part B. How about x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 0? This equation is already written in standard form, and so we can identify a is 1, b is 6, and c is 9. Then we'll substitute into the quadratic formula. So x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9 all over 2 times 1. Simplifying, this becomes negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 36 over 2. And that is negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 2. That's negative 6 over 2, or negative 3. This one we can check by substitution. Substitute negative 3 for x in our original equation and verify that it works. Negative 3 squared is 9. 9 plus 6 times negative 3. Well, 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. 9 plus negative 18 is negative 9. Negative 9 plus 9 is 0. So sure enough, our answer checks out. Your turn, part A. What is the solution of x squared plus 4x equals negative 4? Use the quadratic formula. Part B. What are the solutions of x squared plus 4x minus 3 equals 0? Use the quadratic formula.